High-end master model, Wild Liger. Hey, welcome back to my channel! In today's video we have the high-end master model, Wild Liger, from Kotobukiya. Released in October of 2020, this is the first model kit to be released from the Zoids Wild line. Unfortunately, a series I just couldn't get into. So I have no idea who the characters are, or what the plot is. But what I do know is, the designs are really cool, and they ride them. Yeah, the Zoids are particularly small in this series, so they are ridden instead of piloted, and I personally don't think riding these things while they fight would be very comfortable. But I digress. Back to the review, starting with the box. Look at that box art, that looks amazing. Pretty much the same size as every other Zoids box, and at a 1/35th scale. Which is in part because the Zoids in this series is generally smaller, in contrast to the 1/72nd scale, just because those Zoids are much bigger. But if the scaling puts you off, here it is next to a high-end master model, Liger 0. As you can see, they're generally the same size, so don't worry if they don't fit well with your collection. Here's a side view of the box, showing you some extra accessories and gimmicks that the Wild Liger has, and we'll be taking a look at that later. And on the other side of the box, we see a full view of the kit itself, with armor of course, and without. Wow. That's an intense looking inner frame. But keep in mind these pictures are from a fully painted kit done by a professional, so it might look a little bit different from an out of box build. How different? Here it is. Keep in mind this is a complete street build. I have not panel lined it or used any stickers, because I do plan to paint it one day. And I just gotta say, this kit looks like a complete beast. Much more organic than your traditional Zoid design, but it looks good. No, not just good, it looks sick. Though stylized much more different than traditional Zoid designs, it still looks as great as any other high-end master model kit. There's a boatload of surface level detail that could be brought out with some panel lining. There's still a lot of mechanical elements found throughout the kit, such as piping, vents, and a lot of hydraulics. That reminds you it's still a giant robotic animal, while the design also makes it look like it's organic, with the inner frame sticking out. And speaking of inner frames, since we already got a glimpse of it on the box art, let's just take all this armor piece off and show you this thing. Looks like something out of a horror movie. None of the previous Zoid kits had any inner frame that looks remotely like this. The design of the inner frame looks crazy, giving it that very skeletal look while also mechanized. There's so much more detail now that it's not covered by the armor, and it just looks plain scary. In a good way. I did not expect this type of design when I bought this kit, and I was somewhat pleasantly surprised. I assumed that this kit was similar to the previous Zoid designs, however I was mistaken. Just knowing that the inner frames look like this, I look forward to future kits from the series. The inner frame looks creepy and cool, and with the armor on, it looks even better. Very nice color scheme. I dig the white and blue. The colored part separation is definitely needed, and the brightness of the colors contrasts really well with the inner frame, breaks up all that boring grays, and the gold trims on the claws and hydraulics are a nice touch. So in terms of appearance, I definitely like it. Much more different than your standard Zoid. And surprisingly enough, it was a very easy build. It took as long as a modern Master Grade Gundam, with the exact same level of difficulty. There's no small pieces, no fitment issues, easy to clean nub marks, just a straightforward build. So how is its articulation? Let's take a look. Starting with the head, we have this much of a head rotation. Can't do a full 360 because of those fins getting in the way. The head can move this much side to side. And here it is from a top-down view. Really cool that you can see the neck vertebrae move. And here we have the up and down head tilt. A pretty decent range of motion, and if we flip this fin, you can see the next range of motion moving up and down. As for the mouth, it's able to open up this wide, revealing some nice golden teeth, and when fully open, you can see the cannon inside of its mouth, and that's able to move up and down. The fins on the side of his head have this much of a range of motion, pretty much 90 degrees. Next up we have his forelimbs. This fin part is able to move out. Internal and external shoulder rotation. The forelegs can abduct and adduct this much, a good range. The whole foreleg could do a 360. And yeah, it can come off pretty easily too. But at least it's easy to put back. God's sakes, everything's falling off. Yeah, the back also comes off from time to time. The forelegs have this much of a bend and this much of an extension. As for the paw, it could do a 360. Side to side pivot, not that much. As for the claws, they have an incredible range of motion. Just able to move side to side, but look at that spread. Moving along to the torso, we have the Zoid core, housed right in the chest. And yeah, it's smaller than a normal Zoid core. And surprisingly, the compartment for the Zoid core looks pretty good. To install it, just slide it right back in there. Now let's just reconnect that rear end, so we can start seeing the body articulation. We have this much of a thoracic extension. pelvic tilt movement, side bend from the upper torso, and sideways movement from the pelvis. Now coming along the back, we have the weapon, which could 360 rotate, the claws on a double hinge joint, gives the claw excellent mobility, and allowing the weapon to fold and extend. The 3 Tategami claws are able to fold forward, and all the claws can extend, though very little. And when the claws are fully deployed, the wild Liger looks like something you don't want to mess with. But anyways, continuing on his rear legs we got a perfect 360, the rear leg could adduct this much, another flappy flap for that blue fin part, rear knee extension and flexion, good ankle extension, and a decent ankle bend. The rear paws have the same range of motion as the front paws, decent side pivot, with a great claw spread. Lastly, we have the tail, made up of 8 segments. Besides the tip of the tail, each segment is able to rotate 360, and each section of the tail is hinged onto each other, giving the tail excellent mobility. In terms of articulation, it is not as good as the Liger Zero, just a little too stiff around the joints. I attempted basic animal poses, however, as you can see, it doesn't work. The articulation definitely limits its posing ability. That being said, onto accessories. First up, just because it doesn't have a pilot figure, it has a rider figure. Here we have a painted kit of Arashi, I think that's what his name is. Remember, the scaling is 1/35th, so the riders are comparable in size. Although I don't like the Zoids being ridden, the figure itself looks really good. The paint and sculpt is really well done, and also, if you want to decapitate this guy, he also comes with another head that doesn't have that light effect thing. I don't really know what it's called, I don't watch the anime for it. But yeah, another head model, which is also well painted. And here are the 2 heads side by side. Very nice how they included that. Next up we have the saddle. Not much to it, just a saddle. Because riding a 30-ton robotic animal is as easy as riding a horse. To attach it, just slide the peg right into the back of the head, then reattach the head, then just throw a Rashi right on there. Yeah, not my cup of tea. But nice that they added it. There were also these crystals that are supposed to slide to the back of his head, but I lost them because they're really tiny. I normally put them in a baggie, but they disappeared so quickly I didn't even get a chance to. This kit also comes with stickers. However, I just don't like stickers on Zoids. And I don't really like these sticker designs. And last but not least, we have the eye effect piece thing. Like I said before, I never watched the anime, I have no idea what this is. But, you know, Arashi has it, and I guess Wild Liger has it, so yeah. And it goes right into his friggin' eye. And as you can already see, the eye's kind of worn out. Just because the socket's kind of tight for this piece. To attach it, just jam this peg right in there. Needless to say, it's not as lame as I thought. In fact, on the contrary, it looks pretty cool. It just kind of fits together. Even though it doesn't have that many accessories, what it does have actually adds to the kit. And it's nice to see Kotobukiya trying something different. But this is still a high-end master model, and we already seen some parts falling off. This is a new Zoid design, so how well does it hold up? Shake test! Not as good as I wanted, but better than I thought. The torso connection is one of the weakest parts of this kit. I expected the legs to come off as well, but they didn't, so that was pretty surprising. Having built this kit a couple months ago, the Wild Liger is unfortunately showing signs that it is loosening up, similar to the other high-end master models. So you're probably going to have to address this issue by tightening the joints later on. That being said, size comparison time. I already showed this earlier in the video, but here it is next to a high-end master model, Liger Zero. Very similar in size. Next up, entry grade RX-78-2, around the same height. And here it is next to the real grade New Gundam. Not as tall, but definitely as wide. Same can be said next to a master grade MK2. Then we got DK, Doraemon, Haro, Funko Edward Elric, Egbert. And here it is in a shelf. This isn't its permanent home yet, but yeah, there's the shelf presence. The claws on his back definitely gives him much more of an imposing look, but it doesn't take much real estate. As for final thoughts, as a kit by itself, I think it looks crazy good. I can understand people who like traditional Zoid designs might not take to this type of design from the Wild series, but like the series name says, the appearance of this kit is wild. However, you can't judge the whole kit from the appearance alone. It definitely has its own problems, such as parts falling off. It's not too bad, but it's definitely going to be a recurring issue, so get ready to reinforce those joints or paint it. Otherwise, great kit, easy build, a kit I actually can recommend to beginners. So if you like this style of Zoids or like the design, pick it up. If not, that's fine too. That's just my own personal opinion. doesn't really matter. Hey, thanks for watching my video. I hope you like it. I enjoy making it. Let me know what you think. I got a boatload of more Zoids to review, so I even ordered the Fang Tiger. It looks as good as the Wild Liger, so pretty hyped. Hopefully that comes soon. If you like Zoids, I got you covered. Thanks again for watching my videos. Take care. Bye.